Hey, what's up everybody? This is JesseBurn with Team FTK, and I'm coming at you to remind you to enter our 700 subscriber giveaway. So what we're giving away is going to be 3 packs of Cybernetic Horizons. How you're going to do that is you're going to click on the link below in the description, and it's going to take you to our other video that is JesseBurn and Alex talking about 6 decks that they feel need some support. So like and comment on that video, subscribe to Team FTK, and you will be entered to win. Please remember to keep liking, keep commenting. You know, we appreciate all you subscribers. It keeps us motivated. It really helps us to keep creating great content, and we really appreciate all of y'all's support. This has been Destiny, out!
What's up everybody in YuGiOh YouTube land? This is JesseBurn representing Team FTK, and I'm joined today with
Chris. What's up?
And so today we're going to talk about different rogue decks in the format that can still compete and that can go and that can still do good and that are viable options to play this format in case you want to have fun and you don't want to play meta. And we're going to exclude ABCs, Spirals, Dinosaurs, and what else? Trickstars, Burning Abyss, because those decks are basically, you know, meta. So the first deck we wanted to talk about was Invoked. So Invoked is pretty good, and you can run all different kinds of variants of Invoked.
Yeah, because you got Invoked Mech Knights, you got Wind Witches, you got Sky Striker Invoked, and Invoked is an engine that you can really put in almost any deck. I'm not going to say every deck, but almost any deck, and you can run it, and it could stand alone, even with the Spellbook engine. So
yeah, and then like Makaba is really busted also. They can pretty much just negate everything. And then the fact that they're relatively cheap now because they got reprinted.
Yeah, they're almost like $2 now. And recently I just had an Invoke deck. But another deck we want to talk about is Crusadia. I personally played Crusadia and I like it. Have you ever?
I haven't played Crusadia, but I know that they can OTK and kill your opponent first turn and that they're relatively cheap but also competitive.
Yeah. They're a cheap engine, just like Invoked is a cheap engine, and like basically you can make a pure version, and you can mix it with Mech Knights as well, and you can also make a Sky Striker. So it's universal, and I like it personally when I was playing it, because going turn second or 2 or whatever, it's just so good, and most rogue decks like to go second.
And people can also play with Kaijus, right?
Yeah. You could play with Kaijus, Waterfront, and Waterfront is so good because you can just get the counters for every time you tribute or every time you link summon. So that's pretty good.
And speaking of water, also another deck that's still very good is Mermails.
Yeah, Mermails is good. I like the Second Light build.
Yeah, you can play it with Sekka's Light, which you can max out on playing a lot of hand traps, or you can play it pure, which is also really good, but I like playing the Sekka's Light version more because like you can just run a lot of crazy cards and have fun with it. And you can play Frogs and Mermails, and you can still have just like all different types of variations, and the deck like still really pushes for OTKs, and it really still goes hard.
Yeah. And another deck, and since we're talking about rogue decks, I haven't seen World Chalice as much, but I feel like it's still a good deck. As long as you can link summon and make big plays and literally stop boards from even establishing. Basically, that's what they could do with the Firewall, just bounce cards back. And then the Grusu is so busted because it sends cards, so you can also try to break a board with that. And in my eyes, I see a lot of potential in World Chalice.
Yeah, I think with that, a lot of people don't want to do the complicated combos, so they would just rather play like Gokis and spam. But if you're looking for something that's a rogue option that can like make a lot of links, and you don't mind going through like 3-step combos, then like World Chalice would probably be a pretty good deck to play.
Yeah, and what was another deck? I mentioned Cubits, but I already did a deck profile on Cubits, and I explained a couple reasons why I like Cubits in the profile already, and it can beat a Goki board pretty easy because all you have to do is just summon Cubic Lord and attack and deal damage, and as long as you're dealing damage to slow players, they're going to lose, whether in a time procedure or just in general.
So speaking about time procedure, another deck that I think would be very viable, but a lot of people give it hate and that is very cancerous, is Chainburn.
Yeah.
I think especially with the new support coming out with the new Time Lords that came out, and with Lilith from the Layer of Darkness, that JesseBurn is like really viable this format because you can play it in the time procedure, and then like cards like Secret Barrel and Just Desserts is still really broken because your opponent's going to fill up their board now with Link monsters, and if you activate a Just Desserts, it does 500 damage to your opponent for each monster they control.
Yeah.
Well, now the Link space counts as another monster, so you're not doing 2,500 damage anymore.
Doing 3,000.
Yeah, you're doing 3,000.
That's
so
a lot.
that's busted, yeah. So if you combo that off with like Just Desserts and then combo it off with Secret Blast and Secret Barrel, you can like potentially do like a shit ton of damage.
Yeah, basically on the first or second turn. And another deck, since we're talking about Time Lords, I seen you had Yosenju's written down.
Yeah.
He's always loved Yosenju's, but he made me actually kind of like the deck because you could just normal summon spam and they bounce back at the end phase, and then you can have nothing but just like back row that affects your opponent. But the Time Lords is kind of spicy because you can just send cards the back row back with the water one, and then they got the one that has light points, which is pretty good, and I like that one, especially for the time procedure and stuff like that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and Yosenju's in general are good this format in a way because you can play Card of Demise and you can get all different kinds of floodgates. Like right now, it's really busted to be able to play Rivalry of the Warlords and Gozen Match in the same deck at the same time. So just having those together in a deck like Yosenju's and in a deck like Time Lords, you can play really both of them. You can play Rivalry and you can play Gozen Match, and it just shuts down your opponent.
Yeah, basically it just shuts them out. Like floodgates, it's kind of hard to get around if you don't run Twin Twister or you don't main what's the Red Reboot. And the Red Reboot, I feel like it's a neg when you have to activate it from hand because you're paying half your life points. And then a lot of people like to slow play with trap heavy decks because that's basically what it does. It slows the game down to a simplified state to where I got a couple cards set and you could be limited because I have Rivalry or Gozen or the anti-spell fragrance. Yeah, and
speaking of another deck that is trap heavy that can also run Rivalry and Gozen Match is Paleo Frogs.
Yeah, Paleo. Lately I haven't been seeing as many Paleo players around anymore because Evenly Match is now affordable. Everybody can get it, and don't nobody wants to get raped by Banish 5 or whatever. You can only just have one card. That card is just degenerate right now. And but Paleo itself is so strong because you can main Rivalry and Gozen anti-spell, and it just shuts down pendulums. What's the other deck? Sky Strikers and stuff like that. And it's a rogue deck that's being overlooked. Like
it's still really good because you can make cards like Totally Awesome, and you can make. They have their own XYZs that are really strong, like the one that takes 3 materials that's a Trident during either player's turn, and then the one that lets you search for traps, and then you can activate it as long as you have a trap as a material from your hand, is really busted. They have a Karma Cut, they have their own Book of Moon at 3, they have MST, they pretty much have everything that you want to play in terms of traps.
Yeah, and most of these decks, like say if you do want to take a rogue deck to locals, you can top your locals just constantly over the month and save up your stored credit just so you can buy the expensive cards individually, like Impermanence, Engages, your not effect values, but Ash and Drows. And basically, if you want to make a meta deck, you can use your rogue deck at a locals just to get you there. So when you do go to big events, you can be topping the big events because you saved up and you work towards having that expensive type deck. But that's why I love rogue decks, because they're always going to be overlooked and not expected at real big events like YCSs and stuff. But it's always the rogue decks that take the nation by surprise, basically.
And it's also because like a lot of people don't expect it, and then they go in there thinking that they're going to be playing against the same old deck and the same old strategies, and then they come across a deck like Crusadias, or the next deck that I want to mention that I think is still viable is
Cyber Dragon.
Yeah, I mean Cyber Dragons, yeah. I was going to say Cosmos, though.
Oh, yeah, Cosmos.
Cosmos is still very much viable in the way that they can play a lot of back row, and then there's so many variants of Cosmos. You can play Fire King Islands, you can play Cosmo Demise, you can play Tin Can Turbo. You can basically play anything in Cosmos, and like they still have Cosmojo, which is busted to banish your opponent's cards to disrupt plays, and you can just special summon from graveyard by playing cards like Back to the Front and Call the Haunted to like send your Dark Destroyer with your tin can, then special summon off Call the Haunted, come back, disrupt your opponent's plays, and pop them. And then they have like Dark Witch, which like negates the effects by paying 1,000. And it's just Cosmos are still busted. Like I get what you're saying with Cyber Dragons though. They just got like a ton of new support.
Yeah, because I think Houston Regional's Cyber Dragon player just topped like in the top 8 or whatever. I forgot what place he topped, but it caught a lot of people off guard. And just the simple fact that you have a big negate on the board that's 27, and then he can just take monsters on your turn, and that's just busted because people need their main link monster or main boss monster, as I say. And yeah, I like Cyber Dragons. They're cool. You could contact Fuse, take away your opponent's extra link. If they try to extra link you off, you can just special Cyber Dragon, contact Fuse for Chimera Fleet, and that's pretty good.
And they OTK like crazy, and being able to play what's the one card that lets you machine duplication? Being able to play machine duplication and just like spam the field, and being able to make all types of crazy plays is really good.
Yeah, and another deck people probably overlook, I'm trying to remember. Infernoids.
Right there.
Infernoids, they're good. They're DD Crows, so if you know your opponent has to use their graveyard just to survive or make plays off of that, you can just disrupt them. And then since we're talking about Infernoids, you can also mix it with Layer of Darkness. I've seen pure Layer of Darkness builds, but Inferno Layer of Darkness is sometimes bricky. But I think it's an overlooked deck because simple fact, the field spell lets you tribute your opponent's monster, and it tributes for cost. So they can't really respawn if it's getting sent off the field for cost. And you can run just straight artifacts, straight trap heavy deck cards. You can run artifacts in it.
Yeah, like the Search Out the Sanctum.
Yeah. I think that's just so busted. And then you can like run Karma Cut. Karma Cut is a good card still because you can banish whatever copies they have in their deck and it'll stop plays.
And Lilith in general is busted, like as a card in general that lets you set a trap from your deck. It avoids Ash, so if you want to play the viruses, you can play the viruses, set them with your side of the field. Your opponent cannot disrupt you with Ash or draw on Logbird or anything like that. Just basically gets the trap from the deck to the field. Makes you just basically do whatever you need to. Like, the Layer of Darkness is literally probably one of the best cheap structure decks. Because you just get 3 and then you do have somewhat of a playable deck. You might have to add cards in, but definitely Layer of Darkness is like a good rogue choice to go with.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what we came up with for our list of rogue decks and fun decks that you could play at locals and try to do something with. Yeah. I hope y'all liked the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave good comments at the bottom. See y'all later.